14 years later, still single as a Pringle and still hoping. In TV, everyone lived in big houses. I thought, oh, when I come to the US, I'll live in a big house. No. I've been the saddest year, the most anxious, the most worried and everything. Hello, welcome back to our podcast, Life as a Sea podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be sharing my regrets and lessons learned having lived in the US for, let's see, 14 years. I've been in the US since 2011. I came in the fall of 2011 for my grad studies, and I've been here since then. So yeah, this is 2025. So I think 14 years. I'm coming up on 14 years. I can't believe it. Time sure does fly. Where has all the time gone, so I'm just going to be sharing some of my lessons, my regrets, my wins, and some of the lessons I've learned along my journey in the US. I can't believe I've been here for this long. I remember when I was new in the US, I met some other international students who had been here for like 10 years. And I was like, oh, wow, 10 years. In my mind, I thought to myself, by the time I've lived here in the US for 10 years, I'm sure I would be this, I'll be that, I'll be so successful, I'll own homes, all of those dreams and expectations. And yeah, this is me 14 years later, giving an account of how far it's been for me, how the journey has been. I think every immigrant, regardless of which country you live in, has a journey, a story, a backstory. So for me, the journey wasn't all, hunky-dory, wasn't all smooth, but I think it has, trained me and built me into who I am today. Let me start with this. I was always that child or that kid who had dreams of coming to the US. Most kids or most girls will probably say, as a child, they dreamt about their wedding day, how their wedding gown will be, their wedding gown, their husband, those type of dreams. I never had those dreams. My dream was always to come to the US. Honestly, I wanted to live the American dream. I wanted to live in a big house. I wanted to ride nice cars. I wanted to, live. Okay, so the Cosby Show, if you grew up in the 80s, the Cosby Show was that show where it was like a template of what life in America could be for a family, So that was honestly my template. Whenever I thought of America, living in America, I always thought of the Cosby Show. Dad was an OBGYN, mom was a lawyer, and then they had kids, and just the family dynamics, really, really endeared. I was endeared to it, and that was always what I thought about. So, having that dream at such a young age actually formed my drive to want to succeed, especially academically, because the family I come from, I don't come from a very rich home, and I wasn't aware of anyone within my immediate family, like my immediate extended family, that had traveled to the US. I had a cousin who lived somewhere in Europe, but that was all. That was it, honestly. I knew I had a dream to come here, but how to come to the US, I had no idea. It was just all in my head. But one thing I knew for sure was I had to succeed in my academics, in my studies. I just felt like if I did well in school, by some way, by some luck, I will find myself to the US. I don't know how. And as a child, and when I say as a child, I'm talking of like 7-8 years, I never thought of, means or ways of going there, like that there were options of coming to school here or getting a job. Like those were not, I didn't think that far, right? All I knew was I just needed to be in the US. Yeah, so I always just had that focus of, I want to go to the US. And how do I get to the US? I needed to do well in school, succeed academically, and by some stroke of luck, I would find myself here. That was all I thought. And so that kind of kept me in the straight and narrow. When kids my age were like, being like skipping school or getting bad grades or, misbehaving, I never did that because I was like, no, I don't want to ruin my chances. I remember some girl in my high school who got pregnant, and those days, honestly, teen pregnancy wasn't a thing. It was almost like a taboo. For me, I just felt so sorry for the girl. I was like, oh my God, wow, she's so, her whole life is over right now, right? Because she had to drop out from school. The school wouldn't let her continue school. And for me, I just felt like, wow, this is a huge failure. That was how important this was to me, this dream, this pipe dream of coming to the US. I wasn't going to let anything stop it. I finished high school, went to the university, continued in that, that track of getting good grades. I wasn't getting good grades because I liked what I was doing. I was just getting grades because I felt like this was my ticket to making it out of my country, out of Nigeria into the US. So after I graduated college, it actually dawned on me that, oh, wait, there's a pathway to, leaving Nigeria and coming to the US for your master's program or your doctorate. I didn't know before then. So, and thankfully, I think when a desire is so strong in your heart, somehow God always aligns you, connected to the right people to give you information. It just brings you in contact with the right people that will help you actualize that dream. And I think that was what it was for me. So I just kept on meeting people who had the same kind of desires and passion, to travel abroad and further their education. And then I went ahead and, started making inquiry, prepared for my GRE, wrote GRE, applied for schools. And then 2011, I got admission, and it was a very, very exciting time for me, but also terrifying, because it would be the first time I was leaving my family, like, to travel out of the country. There's another video I did with Amaka, my co-host, sometime last year, and it was about our honest experience, honest opinion and struggles we experienced when we came first to the US. So if you're interested, you can watch that. But there was a lot of culture shock for me when I, moved to the US here. September 17th, I will never forget. I left the shores of Nigeria September 17th and got to the US September 18th. Got into New York port of entry. It was it was a fresh and out of body kind of experience for me, because I was like, oh my God, this is the America I've always dreamt about. I've seen in movies and all that, and I'm here. It was beautiful. I enjoyed those initial moments, even though I had a lot of culture shock and a lot of not so fantastic things, but it was just the newness that I enjoyed. Everything was new, fresh, no prior experience. I enjoyed it so much. Now, so let me now go into my experiences, 14 years later. When I came here, I didn't know, what it's like, what's this trend people used to have, what I ordered versus what I got. What I ordered, what I saw in movies and TV wasn't the same as, real life in America. I was shocked by what was on ground. In TV, everyone lived in big houses. I thought, oh, when I come to the US, I'll live in a big house. No, totally different. I feel like back home in Nigeria, when you see people living in the streets, they were mostly maybe beggars, or people who didn't have families, or people who were mad, like mentally deranged people. Which is a real condition, and it's really sad that back home in Nigeria we don't have adequate care for such people. They just let them on the road, on the street. You see them sleeping in street corners. Now these are people that are mentally deranged, not like they're on drugs. So if I compare that to the US, and most people you see on the street, and I'm not generalizing, please don't get me wrong, but from my experience and knowledge, most people on the street are either people who are falling on hard times. Yeah, they're people who are falling on hard times. Yeah. Never been on drugs, no drug issues, they just fell on hard times, couldn't make rent payment or mortgage. Yes, that happens a lot here in the US. Or people who are high on drugs, they're just high on drugs, that's it. So, they live on the streets. Or people who are, so I'm saying all of that to say that in the US here, you see a lot more homeless people than you see back home in Nigeria. So that was also a shock to me, because I felt, oh, this is America, rich America, giants of the world, richest country in the world. Everyone should be rich, but it's not necessarily so. So a lot of things really shocked me when I came here, but at the end of the day, I just continued some of my experiences. I wanted to categorize my experiences, the lessons learned and regrets in 5 different buckets. I want to talk about friendship, relationships, finances, faith, and wellness. Let me start with finances. I came here. When I came here, I came as a student, like I said earlier, as a graduate student. I didn't have 100% funding. I had like 40% scholarship, and the rest I had to pay out of pocket. And if you know anything about the US, you know that school fees are really, really expensive. So I wish, one of my regrets was I didn't come here financially prepared. Even though I had a good job back in Nigeria, I had worked for a couple of years, maybe 6-7 years, and I had a good job. Even with that, I still didn't prepare adequately. Like, I underestimated the financial draw, the financial commitment schooling here entailed. I just assumed, and oh my God. Honestly, anyway, I'm speaking to someone there who is making plans to come here for school. Just begin to save, begin to make the right decision. Especially if you have a good job. It's different if maybe you didn't have a job and you're, trusting God, because again, faith has a lot to play with it. But at least God gave you resources or a job for a reason. Part of it could be, to prepare yourself for what He's taking you to, where He's taking you. And for me, like I said, I always had the dream to come here. And the logical thing for me to have done was to prepare financially, save, be more circumspect and more smart and wise about my savings and investment when I worked in the bank. But no, I didn't, So I came here not with a lot. I came here with just how much? Came here with maybe $5,000. And that didn't go anywhere. That was just that only paid for like one semester, one quarter. The money wasn't even enough still. That's how expensive schooling here was. And this is 2011. Right now, things are even more expensive. So it was tough for me. It was a lot of hardship. A lot of times I couldn't even focus in class. Like my mind was everywhere. I was constantly thinking of, oh my God, I can't make my school fees payment. My school will report me to CVIS. CVIS is the students, the Homeland Security body for students. They'll report me to CVIS, and CVIS would, rescind my visa and send me back to Nigeria. So there was a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety. I think I developed a lot of anxiety and panic during that period. And also, okay, so let me bring it to French. Okay, I think I'm still talking about finances. Yeah, so finances, I really, really didn't prepare, and I struggled. I suffered for it. Back home, I knew people would. I remember when people come and ask for money, like they just. I didn't understand it, like, because I'd never been in a situation where I was stranded. And experiencing what I was experiencing, financial hardship, I realized that, wow, like, you could actually get to a place where you literally could go on the street and beg, like where you didn't have any money on you. So it really, really humbled me. There was a lot of humbling. There was a lot of, God, coming close to God. Like my grad school experience was one period where I really, really dug my heels deep into the soil and held on to God. I had a lot of testimonies of times. There was a specific time when one of the semesters, it was almost time for school had resumed. I hadn't finished making payment for the previous semester. And because I hadn't finished making payment, I couldn't register for a new semester. And by CVIS standard, CVIS required that within 2 weeks of school resumption, you should have registered for the new semester. And I hadn't registered. It was almost getting, very late, before my school reported me to CVIS. And then oh my God, I started praying. I took out time to pray and fast. And by miraculous providence of God, I'm telling you, like when people say, like, God is real, God does miracles, God hears our prayers. Like I'm telling you, if you're trusting God for something, like fasting is a powerful tool. Prayers, oh my God, like miraculously, someone that I wasn't expecting anything from, somehow the money for my school fees came up from that place. So, and so many other experiences like that, God really showed up for me throughout in my grad school experience. But my regret there, it's still a regret for me that I didn't prepare, because I shouldn't have gone through all the stress I went through if I had prepared financially for coming to school here. So I would say if you're planning to come to school here, make sure you begin to save, especially when you have means, you have the resources. Save. Don't take it for granted. Don't be like, oh, when I come here I'll figure it out. No, you can be in America. America was honestly is a beautiful country, but during that period I didn't see the beauty anymore. Like I was sad, I was depressed, I cried a lot of nights. Like a lot of times I cried myself to sleep because I couldn't. It was just too much for me, and I couldn't call it. There was no one I could call on, or of course my family was there. My family supported me in the way they could, but it was just too much. Grad school here can be tough. I had been out of engineering for a long time because I did banking, and so coming back to engineering because I did my graduate studies in engineering. So it was just, and things, oh my God, I can't even begin to tell you. I think I'm still recovering from the stress and trauma of all of those years in grad school. I went through a lot, honestly. I feel like I need to write a book about my financial struggles here. I did all sorts of jobs, like odd jobs. I worked in a school. I was a conductor. Like there was nothing if it could give me money, I would do it. Sometimes I didn't even like noodles were like, thank God for noodles, thank God. And in Walmart, then I think noodles were like 15 cents or so. So I would buy like with $5, I buy so much noodles, and noodles was all, most times I ate. So yeah, it was tough. So my regrets was the initial period of, coming to this country, not being financially prepared. The lessons I've learned, let me see, what lesson did I learn? The lessons I learned is not to give up. Do not give up. Yeah, things will get better. It will not always be that way, because I struggled my first 2 years. My first year, second year, I didn't have funding. By my second year, actually, like mid second year of my grad studies, I then got funding and things became easier. But imagine if I had given up earlier. I would have just packed up my bag and said, you know what, I can't do this anymore, I'm leaving. But thank God I didn't. God sustained me. So yeah, so that was a lesson learned for me, and one of my regrets. And I thank God today that, after all the hustle, that's the thing about the US here. It's truly a land of dreams, because you put in the hard work. Most people have that. Most immigrants have that journey, that experience of they come, they hustle, they struggle, they go through hard times, but eventually things turn around. It's almost like things, so long as you keep focused, you keep your head down, you keep working, grinding, things will come around. Things will come around. So I thank God. Yeah. Things came around for me, finished school, got a job, a good job. So I'm very thankful for that. In terms of finance, I don't think if I was back home in Nigeria, if I'll maybe be earning what I'm earning. Not that I don't think so. I know I wouldn't be earning what I'm earning now. But anyway, but again, the way the society is, as you're earning, you're also paying back in taxes and bills. So many things, take the money. So, but I just thank God for how it's been financially. I honestly have no complaints at all. Okay, good. So let me talk about friendship. And again, my financial struggles also bled into my friendship. I feel like when I was back in Nigeria, again, money wasn't a stress point, is stress factor for me. So I wasn't always consumed with thinking about my next meal, my next this, my next that. So I think I had so much more space or freedom for friendship. And I never struggled with making friends. I go into a place, I see someone, we connect, somehow we become friends, right? But I noticed in the US here, I struggled a lot with friendship, and I think a lot of it also had to do with me, because I was always worked up about something. I was always worked up. If it wasn't money, it was maybe schoolwork, it was homework, it was my research, it was my dissertation. There was always something. So I never really, opened up myself like that to friend community. Where I schooled in Ohio, there were lots of, there were lots of Nigerians, but I remember I had a Nigerian friend. Oh, God bless her. Her name is Chidi. I wonder if she'll stumble on this video. But yeah, Chidi was really a fantastic, wonderful friend to me. She was an undergrad. She was a lawyer. She was doing a Juris Doctorate then. And when she saw me, she just took a liking to me, and, we hit it off. I remember she just gave me things, like she had provisions like Milo, peak milk, all of those. She just met me for the first time, and she was just so generous, giving me, a lot of things. And she would often invite me for like parties or like, get together, and introduce me to a lot of her friends as well, right? But I felt like that friendship, I really didn't make out time for it. I wish I was more available to her, because she was very sociable. Again, I'm such an introvert, but I wish I had explored more. I wish I had put myself out there more to, grow and meet people that way. But I couldn't, because I was just in this state of, oh my God, my next meal. Oh my God, my school fees. I was just on this, like a dock, underneath the water. My leg was just wagging. It was just a lot of wheel turning in my head all the time. So I was never really realized. And I wish I had given more in terms of friendship. Granted, yes, I met other friends. Like I said, my African-American friend, Mish, she was with me. In fact, she helped me a lot. Like when it comes to grocery and all that, or advice on what to do. God still brought the right people around my way. But I feel like in terms of friendship, I wish I had given more time to my friendships. I would have had much more connections. And then after school, I started working. I moved to a different city, the city where I live now. And I felt like I still couldn't make friends. I still couldn't connect with people. And I wondered why. I was like, wait, what is happening? I have lost my friendship magic, my friendship mojo. What's happening? It wasn't a problem for me before. I don't say I'm not very extroverted, right? But in the same vein, I felt like I still made friends easily. Like if I wanted to be a friend to you, I would just somehow we would connect and meet organically. But it wasn't happening for me here for whatever reason, I don't know. And again, I think it probably was because when I started working again, the same thing, trying to meet up, trying to, because I think I need to do a video about that some other time, about my school, like my dissertation and all that. A lot of drama happened, which bled into my career life. So the earlier part of my career was still dealing with a lot of things from school. So I couldn't really focus as well. Not that I don't have friends. I have friends. I have. And I think the lesson I've learned is not to be consumed with whatever, I'm doing, whether it's work or school or whatever. Just make space for people, make space for friendship, go places, be more open. Don't be so closed-in. I feel like all the stress I went through in grad school, by the time I moved to this city where I work, for a time, I think I isolated myself. I was like, I needed to rejuvenate. I needed to recover. So that's friendship. Let's see. Then when it comes to relationships, I always wondered, I asked myself this, I'm like, if I was still back home in Nigeria, will I still be single? Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe not. I don't know. One of the things that also kept me back from coming to the US immediately after I finished school was I wanted to be married. I just felt like, if I leave Nigeria and I'm not married and I come to the US, where are the men? Where will I marry? So, and I waited for, again, I said I worked back home. I worked in Nigeria for like 6-7 years and marriage wasn't coming. And I saw my friends going ahead to live their dreams, pursue their dreams of coming to the US. I was like, yeah, please, let me just go. Marriage will come. Husband will come when it comes, So I've been in the US now 14 years. Man, I never see marriage, I never see. So it's really, so sometimes I'm like, who knows if I was in Nigeria. But I don't regret being here. I don't regret moving here when I did and being here. I'd rather still be here than be in Nigeria, in the sense that I think God opened opportunities for me here, which I don't know if I would have had in Nigeria. Again, I don't know. I'm not God. I'm just going according to God's leading for my life. And I think, yeah, maybe this is God's path for me. I don't know. But I haven't really had, throughout my 14 years, I would say I've been in maybe one solid relationship. And that was when I was in grad school. And I've been on many dates, so many dates, but nothing concrete, nothing, from those dates. So again, when you look at it in terms of probability or like numbers, if I was in Nigeria, I feel like it's easier to relate with your fellow Nigerian. Let me not say rubbish now, because I really I don't know, but I feel like here, it's in the US here, the dating culture is so different. Like you have to be skilled, there's a way around it, and I live in a city where there are not many Africans, there are not many Nigerians, there are not many. And now I'm not saying I'm restricting myself to just Africans or Nigerians, but most people here are just 9-to-5 corporate people. So they just go to work, come back, they are home, they are busy. So for you to meet someone, you have to, be very intentional. Like there was I think 2 years ago, I did like online dating and I enjoyed it. I met a lot of, fun, nice people, but honestly, online dating is not for me. It was so time consuming and like took a lot from me. I mean, I spend more of my time at work, even though I work from home, but at least I spend most of my time, my day-to-day time, Monday to Friday, interacting with fellow colleagues, right? And with the rule or the code of conduct of you can't have romantic relationships within the office, it makes it even harder, right? Because I know there are lots of single people at my job, right? But how can you even start, cultivating or grooming any kind of romantic relationship with them when they as men will probably not want to cross the boundary of trying to approach a lady that works, a female that works, with them. And you as the woman, I mean, all you can do is just open your eye and say, okay, I'm available, talk to me now, but you can't go and chase a man, right? So it's just, it's very, very tricky here in the US, I think. So I think online dating is where most people meet, coalesce and come together. Because I know when I was online dating, I saw some people from my company. And men now, they like, I don't know, I feel somehow like, why putting my job, my company on my profile? No, I will never do that. But you see a lot of them, they'll be like, they'll write the company's name and write their position. I'm like, wow, you guys are really brave. So I see a lot of them, on there. My regret is I haven't been able to cultivate any meaningful relationship or that has led to marriage so far. I'm still, very trustful and believing that it would happen. It would happen at God's time, at God's timing. Yeah, so I don't know if I should call it a regret, but yeah, maybe let me say it's a regret. I regret that in the 14 years I haven't, met someone, because I thought, oh yeah, when I come here, finish school, in fact, in grad school, I'll meet someone and get married and all that. But it never happened for me in grad school. Like I said, I was busy worrying about money, worrying about school. I didn't even have time to date. I remember, oh my God, I remember this guy was Indian though. He worked in a different research lab than me, but we always saw each other, and he was like really interested, asked me out for coffee a couple of times, and I always turned him down because I was like, man, I am so busy. I don't have time for it. Like I just was just into that space. And I've noticed that about me. I get so involved in whatever it is I'm doing, that I just block out so many other, external noises, which is not the best. But yeah, I think my relationship would probably have thrived better if I was in Nigeria, but who knows? I don't know. 14 years later, still single as a Pringle and still hoping. Single as a Pringle and ready to mingle. Okay, cool. Awesome. So what's the fourth one? I think I've spoken about 3 now. The fourth one is faith. God, America tried me. America tested my faith. Like, I feel like I grew in my walk with God, in my faith in this America, honestly. In Nigeria, I had a lot of fallback. I belonged to a church where everyone, it was like a family. It was almost like we lived in a commune, even though it wasn't a commune, but you just had a lot of external voices, spiritual guy telling you what to do, this and that. But when I left that place, when I came to the US, I realized that, wow, I am in this by myself. And then I began to dig my heels in deeper into God's word, especially with all the challenges I was facing financially. I just knew only God could help me. So I began to develop a renewed love for God, renewed desire for Him, and being by myself. I had time. Like, it wasn't, a lot of times in the Christian community, I feel like activity doesn't, we can get so busy with church activities, because in my church, then we literally could be in church the whole week, right? Monday, there was a meeting. Tuesday, there was cell meeting. Wednesday, there was midweek service. Thursday, there was leaders meeting. Friday, there could be night vigil. Sunday, Saturday, we had leaders. Like Sunday, we were in church till like 6, 7 p.m. God. So there was really no time and space to cultivate your personal relationship with God. It was always about activity. You were out winning souls, working, and all of those things are good. But I think there should also be a place for sitting down and reflecting on your walk with God, on your relationship with God. Because at the end of the day, Christianity is a personal relationship. It's not about activity. It's not about ministry. It's about you yourself, your spirit, and connecting with God. So that was what coming to the US did for me. It really helped me, removed all of those distractions, all of those noise, all of the busyness, and I was alone with myself and my thoughts and God and the Bible. I remember then my TV I used to get Daystar Christian channel, I think TBN as well. I don't know if I got TBN, but I got Daystar though. So a lot of preachers will come and preach, like, God, I really used to enjoy. I would just, man, I was on fire. I just found God again for myself. And a lot of things, because in Nigeria, I was a leader, I was a cell leader, and I realized a lot of, I saw things in myself, that behaviors and attitude I had that wasn't right, that wasn't scriptural. I saw a lot of pridefulness in myself. You know how you come and you feel like, because you're a leader, everyone should be subservient to you, everyone should greet you, everyone should defer to you. God really began to deal with me, like a lot of things I had done. He was like, this is wrong, this was wrong, and I repented. I think I renewed my faith. I got born again, if there's anything like that, in America there, in Ohio during my grad school, because all I had was God, myself, and that was it. So I think in terms of faith, I don't have any regret. I think I grew, and also it helped keep me focused. Again, when God answers your prayer in one area, it builds your faith for the next thing. So like when I talked about one semester when my school fees wasn't complete and I needed money last minute, how God answered that prayer. Wow, it was so amazing. It grew my faith such that when I finished school, it was time to get a job. Man, I was like, God, how will this happen? How will this happen for me? Because in Nigeria, to get a job, you needed connection. You needed to know someone that knows someone that knows someone. I was like, who do I know here? Even this school I went to sell, because man, going to school as a grown, I went to school here in my, when I was much older. So it wasn't like when I was younger. So I felt like, man, to get a job here, how will I do it? How will I do that? And somehow miraculously, God just directed me, just okay, go for this conference as you do. Like things just fell in place. I'm telling you, I got my job even before I graduated. I did my dissertation defense. It was all a miracle. And all of those things just kept on growing my faith, and trusting God and all that. And I miss those periods, those times, because these days I'm like, oh my God, a lot of times I've gotten so lazy, but earlier this year, I really went through something really hard and difficult that God had to take me back to that place. You have to come back to me in prayers. And, so yeah, I think here, America really, you have to know God. Like if you're a Christian, you have to chart your own course. You have to chart. Nobody is telling you what to do. You have to, even in churches, most churches, yeah, I don't know about Nigerian churches, but like the church I go to is just Oyinbo church. Those churches, you have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Even though sometimes I miss the way we do things back on, where it's like a communal thing, like a corporate kind of, everyone comes together, while that is good, also doing it by yourself, because it helps you grow, it helps you become more independent, and your sole dependence becomes on God. For faith, I don't have any regrets. I think I really enjoyed, how God grew me up in this place. I'm not where I need to be yet. Sometimes I'm like, God, some things I still deal with or grapple with. I'm like, man, Zuki, you should be out of this now. You should have grown beyond this, but I still grapple with some things sometimes. So that's it for faith. And then the last I want to talk about was wellness. Here, there's a lot of emphasis on wellness, physical wellness, emotional wellness, mental wellness. Honestly, it was until I came to America, I realized a lot of the things we went through as kids back home, it was just abuse. Back home, our culture, the culture itself is almost born out of abuse, or it's shrouded around abuse. I'm not saying our culture is predominantly abusive, but there's a lot of toxic undertones. There's a lot of toxic undertones with our culture, right? With the way we do things, the way we relate, the way relationships are really. So it was until I came here I realized that, oh wow, that wasn't cool. What that uncle did, said to me or did to me wasn't good. What that auntie did to me wasn't good. Or what that sister, you begin to say, oh, wow. And then even being here, you become more self-aware of what is good and what is wrong. You're able to speak for yourself, advocate for yourself, get help, get therapy. I would say that when I came, again, even though I had all of these dreams of coming to the US, and that's the thing about dreams. I think a lot of times we might desire something so much, and we have this false sense of or belief that once we get what we want, life will be happy, hunky-dory, everything, no issues, rose-colored, but it's not necessarily so. I feel like I've been my saddest here than I ever was back in Nigeria, even though I would say, okay, God brought me to the land of my dreams, but I've been the saddest here, the most anxious, the most worried and everything, right? So having your dreams doesn't mean that there won't be any challenges with it, but it's just being aware of it and then getting help if you need help. So I think my regrets again would still go back to I wish I had prepared, because all of the issues I faced here came from that financial struggle. If I had prepared well, I would have been in a better state of mind. I struggled mentally, emotionally. It was after I started working on, that I started involving like therapy, to help me deal with some of those issues. The other one is physical health. I feel like here people, and I'll say I'm probably more conscious of my health here than I ever was in Nigeria. Granted, I was way younger in Nigeria, and I think the older you get, the more conscious you should be of your health, please. Being conscious. And I wouldn't say I've always been this way, because like I said, when I was in grad school, I was always eating noodles. I don't think those were the healthiest thing to consume, but this country makes it so easy. Like the way there are a lot of opportunities, right, to take care of your health physically. If you can't afford to go to the gym, you can always take walks. There are lots of parks around where you can just go walk. There are lots of community centers where you can go even exercise. So it makes it easier for people to be fit and to be healthy if they do choose to. And also medical services better here as well. So in terms of health, I think people take care more of themselves, and I think I've taken better care of myself here than I think I ever would if I was in Nigeria. We eat a lot of oil. They are honestly food, and I honestly get angry, not angry, but I honestly get uncomfortable when I see people, when I watch Nigerian, influencers, when they post on their maybe Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and they eat like all of these processed foods like hot dogs, sausages, bacon, and I'm like, dude, that isn't healthy. Like, and those things are even expensive back home, but they'll rather buy those things and eat natural, like good, organic, traditional foods we have. Honestly, our food is so way, way more richer and nutritious than all of those processed food they eat, and they think it's a sign of wealth or class. No, it's not. Please don't be eating those things, especially as the older you get, please. Maybe kids can, but as grown-ups, please, let's cut down on all of those things because contain a lot of toxins, a lot of processed salts, coloring, colors. Oh, no, please stay away, okay? I've just been rambling on, but yeah, these are my 14 years later. My experience in the US has been lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of sad days, lots of happy days, lots of, celebrations. Thankfully, not lots of sadness. Oh, not sadness. Anyway, it's just been a mix of everything, basically. And I'm just so thankful to God. If you're out there and you desire to travel, relocate to another country, please keep pursuing that dream. Don't let anyone talk you out of it. If it's what you want to do, please do it. Like I said, for me, it was a childhood dream. People had different dreams. My dream was just to come here. That was it. So if that is your dream, there is nothing wrong with it. Work towards it. Talk to God about it. Make sure it's in line with what He wants you to do. And God will connect you with the right people. Keep going. He will provide the resources, the raw materials, the money. Let this be an advice for you as well. If there's any way you need to prepare yourself ahead of time, just prepare yourself, and come. And the rest is, I can say, okay, I suffered, but in all of those suffering, it builds resilience, it builds tenacity in me, which is a useful skill to have at the end of the day. So nothing we go through is wasted ever. God uses it for something. He uses it to build us character-wise and in so many other areas. So if it's your dream to come here, please do not give up. Do not, change your mind. Just keep pushing and God will make a way for you. So that's it. I hope I was able to communicate in this podcast. I feel like I rambled on. But the US is a great country. Yeah, it's a good country to be in. It's not perfect. No country, no place is perfect. Everywhere has its flaws. This country definitely has a lot. But I feel like there are a lot of good things. There are a lot more good things, I think, than bad things, in my opinion, IMO. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave us a review in wherever you're listening from, Apple, Spotify. Please leave us a review. Please on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, share, and keep coming back for more content. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.